I was out walking this evening, and as I usually do, if I'm not praying, I'm usually listening to a blog or somebody. And I was listening to a blog about that a man had put up that we'd known each other when he was 18 and I was 18. We both entered the seminary together. So I was just listening to his story, and his life took a very different direction to my life. And he was just being very vulnerable about the pain, the suffering that he had experienced in life, about feeling lost. And I think a lot of us can feel lost in life, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted this blog to help people find themselves, to find peace, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you think you're going through, no matter what shame or doubt or fear that you're experiencing. There's always hope. And that's really, really important, is to bring people to a place of hope, of peace. Because if you read the gospel, it's all about that. It's all about, Christ never went in there and made people feel worse about themselves. I mean, he did to some people that he wanted to reach, the Pharisees and all these that, portrayed one thing and did another. But to those who are in pain, he never left them in a worse pain. To the woman caught in adultery, he didn't make her feel worse. To the woman at Samaria, he didn't make her feel worse. He brought her out of her shame, her fear, her isolation, and he gave her hope. I remember in the 1980s, if people will remember, even in the 1990s, if people will remember asking for directions. Say if you're out driving somewhere and you need you need to get somebody, and you roll down the window in the car. Can you tell me how to get to such and such? Well, it's the first right, it's the second right, then you take a left, and then it's 3 kilometers on, and it's your third right. But then you come to a roundabout. Be careful, because then you have to go left again. And when the directions get so long, you say, "Oh, thank you very much," and you kind of listen to as much as you can remember, and then about 10 minutes later, you probably stop and ask somebody again for directions. But the odd time, you would meet somebody that you ask for directions, say, "Look, you'll never get there on your own. Sure, follow me in the car," or they'll get in the car with you and they'll lead you to where you need to get to. And in today's world, we have GPS, and we just put it on, and we follow the directions that the GPS is coming. Christ is, what Christ left us in the gospel is the ultimate route maker. It's the ultimate navigation tool. It's in life. He sits right beside us, and he leads and he guides us if we have humility to listen to him. And if you don't have humility, if you think you know it all, and your way is the best way, you'll never hear the voice that's guiding you. And it's really important, if you feel lost, have the humility to listen to the Holy Spirit. Have the humility to listen to what God is trying to do in your life, because God always leads you to a place of peace. If you're not at peace, ask our Lord, send your Holy Spirit into my life so that I can hear that voice of peace. And sometimes the greatest act of humility that you can have, if you're not in a place of peace, is saying, "I need help. I need to talk to somebody." And it's very important as Catholics that we talk without judging and just listen. Just listen. That's really, really important. Just listen. If somebody's in a place of pain and they're opening up and they're being vulnerable, just listen. Don't judge. Just be there to listen. Sometimes as Catholics, we want to superimpose Catholic teaching on a situation that isn't ready for it. And what we need to do is just listen and keep listening. And maybe that listening will take a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. The rate at which somebody heals and somebody's able to hear Christ, hear his gospel, can take a long time. But it's by our example of listening that we will bring people to a place of peace. And, that's really, really, really important, in the church. So I just want to give this encouragement, because this blog isn't here to make me famous as much as people might think so. It really isn't. It's to bring people to that encounter with Christ, which brings peace into your life. That amazing encounter with Christ, that profound encounter with Christ. He gives peace. And we should be always pointing towards him. He is the person with the mega GPS, the mega GPS for our lives. That'll always leave. That'll never be astray. Even sometimes you put on the GPS and I've often done this. You put on the GPS and you wind up in this back road that's really not meant for your car. Grass is growing on the road. And I said, this is not where I meant to go. And sometimes the GPS, it takes you on the shortest route, but it's not the path that we should be on. And Christ, he'll always take you on the path that you need to be on. And it's really important because that people reflect on this, and it's important that those who can help, who have the leadership skills to do this. We desperately need mature leadership in the Catholic Church and in the world that'll, be mature enough to just listen, help, support, guide, lead. That disinterested love that, that is open to anybody that needs it. And that's the message I want to give to anyone listening to me, because I know sometimes a video will arrive to somebody and they'll contact me and they're not in a great place. God always wants you in a place of peace. God always wants you out of your cycle of shame, if you're living in shame, or fear, or anxiety, or pain, or insecurity, whatever you're experiencing that's tearing you apart inside. God will draw you out of that, and people will listen to you, and they won't judge you, and they'll just be there to listen and to keep the conversation going, so you can come out of that and be at peace with yourself, with the world, or with your family, and then to progress forward in your life, and be healed and be at peace. It can seem very simple, but the greatest obstacle to doing this is pride. Oh no, I can do this on my own. Oh, I've been too many years living with this. I've been self-medicating for too many years. The cycle of fear of the pain and cycle medication. Whatever people use to medicate away or numb the pain. You don't have to live like that. You just talk it out, get some objective focus on it, and move forward with your life. It can sound simple, but it does work. And that is the beauty of the church, if we're humble, that we can just listen to others, not judge them, help them, and bring them forward as they progress in life, trying to find meaning. So anyway, just a message of hope. Christ is the mega GPS. He'll always lead you in the right direction. Read his word. Read the word. Read the New Testament. Read his word. Love one another as I love you. All these commandments that Christ left, they have profound meaning in our lives. To love one another as I have loved you. You remember when Christ said, love one another as I have loved you? I always think of these people that go out and they commit mass murder. They go in and destroy lives. What they're actually doing is loving others as they love themselves. They hate themselves, they hate their own lives, and they will reflect that in their actions towards others. And what pain and what darkness these people must be living in. And Christ is trying to turn that around. Love one another as I have loved you, because we have the example of Christ, who became a slave. He suffered the torture of a slave. He was hung on the cross as a slave, and he elevates us out of that. He shows us the path is the cross. The greatest meditation that we will ever have as Christians is to enter into the meditation of the cross. And it's strange that this is coming to mind. I wasn't actually thinking of speaking about the cross, but when Christ appeared to me, crucified on a cross. It was actually in this spot. It was actually, where was it? Over there. I was walking in here. This is along the Moy in Ballina. And he appears and he says, Robert, put your hand on my sacred heart. So you're touching the sacred heart of Christ, a man in intense agony. Intense agony. Can you imagine somebody in so much pain and agony and so much love that they want to give? I think it's, and I hadn't thought about putting this on the video today, but it's supposed, I was thinking of totally something else, but it's that encounter with Christ in so much agony and so much love. It's so countercurrent to our humanity in a way. As, when people are suffering, so often they're incapable of loving. They're incapable of loving themselves, and they're incapable of loving others. And yet Christ had to come and he had to turn it around. He had to turn things on its head and to point us in a different direction, which is the direction of humility, of giving everything you have out of love to show people that there is something greater than the suffering, the pains and the anxieties and the addictions and whatever you're going through in this world. There's something greater, there's something transcendent to that. And again, and I keep saying as much as I can in my videos, always go to the source of that peace, which is Christ in the Mass. That is the greatest source of peace you will ever find in your life. No blogger, not even me, or any blogger, or any priest can give you a greater source of peace than humbly going to Christ in the Eucharist at Mass, or prepare yourself in confession, go to Mass, and encounter the greatest source of peace and joy that you can encounter. And bring people to him. There's a man was saying yesterday that he advised somebody to go to the Eucharist. You'll never go wrong by bringing people to the Eucharist. You'll never go wrong. You'll never go. It's a wonderful piece of advice. So always point people to Christ. He is the way, the truth, and the life. He gives us his peace. He's with us to the end of time. Read the gospel slowly, meditate on it. Read it, go into the gospel, what he's saying, apply it to your life, enter into it. Christ is the greatest source of peace that exists. Anyway, greetings from Mayo, here in the Moy River. Very peaceful. The famine wall. This is a famine wall that was built during the famine, where the landowners would give employment to people that were starving, and they'd be building walls. So this is the famine wall. And this is where Christ appeared to me, crucified. Now, I don't know, I can't explain, and I don't want to make myself a strange person, but I don't know, maybe there's some connection to it all that I'm not aware of, but he is real. If he wasn't real, I don't know how to explain it all. He is so real. So real. When people talk about a personal encounter with Christ, he is so real, and he wants to enter into our lives, and he wants to transform. And I don't think he would do this if he didn't want this message passed to others. When I was all of this was happening to me, I was saying, oh, maybe I'll do a diary, and when I'm dead, somebody will read it. And I said it to other people, maybe I'll just. I said, no. People need to know about Christ's love today. And that's why my biggest message is go to Christ in the Eucharist. He will never fail you. No matter why you see all of this. Christ in the Eucharist, Christ encountered in confession, that amazing encounter of healing power will never fail you. And go to him. And the key to unlocking Christ's love is humility. It's saying, I can't do it all. I can't do it all. In my pain and my anxiety, look, I can't manage without this higher power, which is the body of our Lord Jesus Christ, which feeds and nourishes us and strengthens us physically. So the key to the power that you will get in the Eucharist is the humility of letting Christ renew your life. That's simply it. You know, if we only understood this, if our spiritual fathers in the church, you know, understood this more, how transformed the church would be. Oh, it would be really, if we had this spiritual leadership in the church, in our priests and our bishops and our deacons, and I'm not criticizing them because they haven't been formed. They haven't been given the formation to be saints, to lead to the threefold path of perfection, you know, purgative, unitive, purgative, contemplative, unitive, this path of sanctity of perfection. We need to open it up to souls. Give them the spiritual gym. When you go to a gym and you get a trainer to help you, the first thing that the trainer will do is know how to guide you. They're not going to come in, oh, you're fat? Ha, go on. We don't want fat people in our gym. You go home and lose a few pounds and then come back to the gym. It says, no, you're the perfect person we want in your gym. You don't make them shamed. You give them a program. You lift them out of their problems. You bring them along. It's a program of strength. Like if a trainer shamed every person that came in that was fat, he wouldn't have many clients, would he? You know, it's the path of training, of helping, of progress, and of bringing people along. And that's the same in the spiritual life. You know, when people come and they have different problems, we don't shame them. We're saying, okay, you're in that situation. Now let's walk you along. Let's come along. Because that's what Christ does. When you look with humility for Christ to help you, he'll walk along with you. He'll help you. He'll support you. Go along with him. You know. Anyway, God bless you. And, you know, and this is, a message I give to anyone. Go to the source of truth, which is Christ. Christ, the way, the truth, the life, peace. Incredible experience. Go to him in the Eucharist. Go to a reverent Mass where, you have time to pray, meditate, and encounter Christ. Let him speak. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.